So, welcome to today's Alumni Talk. Today we have our speaker, Mr. Dinesh Sai, with us. I welcome you to for the session. Thanks for giving us your wonderful time. So, before we even start, in, I would like to congratulate you for the wonderful journey that you have made through. And we were fortunate enough that I personally got a chance to go through your LinkedIn profile and got a few insights about your journey as well. So I see that you've completed your graduation in 2020, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah,
Yeah, that too in mechanical and a great transition to this tech and you're working as a data scientist. Like before we take through the talk forward, like I am just curious to know what made you interested to take this field. Like what excited you to take up this field of data science? Like,
yeah. So it was the final year when I was like introduced to ML. So during my major project times, we had actually got a chance to implement ML in our final year project, but which couldn't work out. But that was the initiation of everything. So when I learned about ML, I wanted to know more about it because since in mechanical we were like never had a gist of what is ML is or data science is. So as soon as I finished my graduation, I wanted to know, so get to know things better in ML. So I joined a certification course in DataMites, wherein I explored into deeper concepts of ML and data science.
mhm.
So
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
the transition.
Okay. Yeah, I understand you have a lot of passion towards this field. Can you just walk us through your journey from being a student at DataMites to just landing a successful job as a data scientist? Like, can you just walk us through this journey?
So as soon as I finished my certification, I got a chance for internship with examroom.ai, which was held by PAT Services of DataMites. So during the internship, I was exploring for full-time jobs as well. And by fortunately, I got contacted by one of our HR of my present company through LinkedIn. So which landed me in this job, and I'm since then working in this particular job for 2 years, I guess, 2.2 years.
I see that you were the study field was mechanical and you landed up as a data scientist. How the transition happened? Like, what were the difficulties that you faced or you would put across for the beginners to start their career with? Like, there are audiences here today too, very fresh from a very different domain. How would you inspire them? What are your thoughts about that?
See, uh, doesn't matter from which background you belong to be honest. Like, I did my bachelor's in mechanical, but to be honest, like, if you are a technical or a technical geek or something, you can literally like start from scratch and be successful in this path. Because I didn't have any idea in ML or DL or Python or anything in the beginning days. But it was my wholesome interest in which I had invested that my time should be, and my interests which were aligning to the outcome which I was expecting. And it was, I never felt any difficulty during the journey because every time I was more curious, like when I was getting to know things about more and more about ML.
Mm-hmm.
So to be honest, it is not like difficult to transition not only technical but non-technical as well because Python is a low level language. So it is like you can any person who's having a least experience in coding as well can start with it. And that is the advantage in machine learning that it can be done in Python. It is done in Python, to be honest.
Yes, yes. So, what's your opinion is it doesn't matter which background we come from, the
Right,
interest, what we put in will fetch us a future.
right.
Right. Can you share the pre-interview phase? Like, how did you start your preparation? How did the course help you in, and what were the projects that you did? Like these, as you told, examroom.ai was your internship phase, and Pat helped us. Like, can you just give us a gist about that? Like, which were the projects that you did? How did you start all these?
Yeah, so projects which I did was one was one was for image processing, which was handwritten digits, recognition of handwritten digits, and one was sports related, which was NBA data set, and one was COVID, like the cases how the COVID were rising across the world,
Mm-hmm.
kind of time series project,
Mm-hmm.
and one more was CNN based.
Correct.
It was like that was a personal project which I did, which was
Mm-hmm.
kind of like automatic self-driving car.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this like when I was getting trained to do all this in the DataMites, I didn't have much idea like how to apply them in real world. But once I started working on the concepts which were uh, taught in the classroom, then I understood deeper like what is happening, how algorithms work, and all that stuff.
That's what. As a fresher, like imagine I being a very fresher and I don't know X topic in this world. How do I project all these projects or anything in my resume? Like
Yeah,
that point can be covered.
yeah. So
Mm.
learning is like a deep sea. You can never stop learning. To be honest, I'm still learning.
True,
I'm
true.
not aware of all the concepts which is there in ML or DL or anything, right? So
True.
what I would suggest a fresher is like dive in, just dive. Don't
Mm.
look around or don't think about it. Just dive. Once you face problems while working out on a project, upon that, while debugging, you develop a skill for debugging the code as well as learning, which actually makes you hungry to know more. Why is it happening, or why it is to be happen in a similar, on a particular way, so
Mm-hmm.
and so. So most of the problems where I faced, and I started debugging them deeper, and that's how I got to know like why this has to be done in this way, so and so.
True, true. That was very great. I see one project on your LinkedIn, which object detection model. If I'm not wrong, you used
Right,
YOLO. Do
YOLO, yes.
just curious, just wanted to know what were your thought process or what was the roadmap of you like collecting the data? Like how did you bring in all these things? Just a
Yeah,
thought.
so
Did
understood.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
understood. The thing is, YOLO is a algorithm which actually is trained on darknet, this thing, and Coco dataset. So
Mm-hmm.
in Coco dataset, we have different classes, class-based subjects. So in that, I selected humans as a class, right?
Mm-hmm.
So not only the video which I have posted in LinkedIn, you can put any video which is containing persons. So the
Mm-hmm.
basic idea in this is what I was suggesting to do in the project was to measure the distance between two bounding boxes in which the bounding box a person is detected. So the centroid of one bounding box to another bounding box centroid will be mapped, right? In a real world, let's say if the camera is placed somewhat on our eye level, it will cause occlusion, which is a depth perception because a person who's standing near to you and person who's far away from you seems to be near, right?
Correct. Correct.
In real world, they are far. So
Huh.
there are some use cases and there are some disadvantages in which we have to cover all that.
Okay.
So basic idea was to distance the measurement of two persons who are actually following or not following the
Mm-hmm.
social distance norms, which were actually suggested by WHO.
Nice. I just that was eye catcher in your profile. That code. I was just hovering through that GitHub code too. That
Okay.
was great. A second thing is what are the skills that is very important? What do you say? I come in, I have passion towards it. I take up a course under somebody's guidance. I make everything up. But what are so much which skills are very much important?
Okay. Skills I would suggest is like um, writing code anyone can write. The problem is debugging it because you never know why the code is breaking, right?
Mm-hmm.
In my 2 years, 2.5 years of journey in my current company, most of the times I sit and debug the code. You don't have to write code from the scratch in any company, right? You just have to work on with the code which is already there to understand the code
Mhm.
which is already written, and the mechanisms of it has to
Mhm.
be improved. And you have to write a code in a readability manner because the person who's coming after you is gonna also work on the same, right?
Mhm.
So one skill is writing simpler codes. Simple. We don't have to over engineer it because at the end of the day we have to get the job done, right? Either by hook or crook. We just have to write a simple and clean code. That is first. Second is debugging,
Correct.
right?
Okay.
First, again, I want to add something in the first one. Stick to a
Mhm.
language. Either it be Java, either it be Python, either it be Go or anything. Stick to one
Mhm. Mhm.
because working in multiple languages makes your syntax is very bad.
Okay.
Stick to one language. So the
Okay.
first one is done, and the second one is debugging skills.
Mhm.
So how good you are able to identify the errors and fix them. To be
Mhm.
honest, I'm working in a startup in environment where we have to give a quick fix because
Mhm.
it is a very fast-paced work culture in which I work, right? So everything goes production in a little faster way. So to give the fix, you have to be skilled enough to debug your code or any code and to fix them, fix the issue, and then put it in production.
Production.
Because without testing the code, you cannot push it to production, right?
Mhm. True.
That's the
True.
second skill.
Okay.
Third skill is keep reading at least 2 hours a day. Two
Mhm.
hours a day at least. Give a time to learn something new. Explore. Now, when you see, when I was doing this course, there was no LLM or no nothing, right?
Good.
But if you see today, at the pace at which the this field is growing, right? You have to be on top of everything. You have to explore at least one or two new things every day and know about them, how they work, what is the innovations that have been made across the world.
Correct.
Because that's
Correct.
what is going to take you further.
Correct. To
That's
stand
the
out
thing.
in the crowd, upskilling is very, very important.
Really important. Yes.
Correct. So to sum up, what is your viewpoint? Stick to one language to bring up everything. Try to
Right.
understand what is happening. Third thing
Right.
is upskilling yourself. That is very true. So how do you read? How do you put your concepts upskill? What are the sources that you go through? Like that's
Uh,
new to there were
yeah.
nothing years back. I understand too. When I came out, there was nothing. Now there's lot many things going around. Gen AI, LLMs, that there's so much is coming out. So how do you source the materials?
What I do is if I have to learn, what I do, I go to GitHub, then I search, like, GitHub is an open source, right? Python is
Correct.
also open source.
Yes, yes.
So whatever we're learning, everything is available in the internet. I simply go to GitHub and search for LLM projects. Okay. Then I clone them and I go through what a person is trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's say if a person is trying to train an LLM with a PDF, which is a document, let's say
Correct.
an account statement or something.
Mm-hmm.
So when a document is trained using an LLM provides you the information which we have to manually write code and get it out,
Correct.
right? So similarly, first before doing this, I go to YouTube and watch what is the what do you mean by LLM? How this
Yeah.
data, how these algorithms work.
Uh-huh.
To be honest, LLM is nothing but a good generator. Apart from that, nothing. The main
Correct.
part comes in RAG, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is
Right.
depending on the RAG which actually possesses the power to predict whatever you are trying to do.
Correct. Correct.
So learning everything is a step-by-step process. So it's everything is open source. If I go to internet and just a simple tab, I open a new tab and I just search, I want to know what is RAG. You get
Correct.
hundreds of results. You
Hmm.
don't have to like source materials. And most of them to be learning quickly or efficiently, you can go to research papers.
Okay.
That is one I can tell.
Fine. Fine.
Yeah.
Okay. I do the same thing, but there are people who source for the books or some guided materials. Like I do have seniors who just rely on books. But one good thing is like whoever is in the meeting too, one good source of fetching the materials is go to their documentations. Let's say anything you want, just go to their official documentation, Spark
Right.
or Scalan, whatever it is, go to their official documentation website. You're going to get great materials. Correct. Added on is this one too.
Yeah.
So, ca- can you give guidance for freshers, as in what were the kind of questions that were asked in your interviews? Were there very practical based questions or theoretical concepts were asked more? Why? Because I get students asking of, ma'am, is statistics very important? Is this concept very important as a interview view perspective? So, what's your idea on this?
Uh, what I can tell about this is depends on the interviewer, to be honest. Like there is no particular set of questions which an interviewer might ask,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it may be sometimes situational questions, situational based, like they'll ask you questions depending on if this is to be done, what you do,
Scenario based.
what you have to do, in which they test your IQ, basically. So how quickly you can give a solution out.
Mm-hmm.
Those types of questions. Else,
Yeah.
sometimes they might ask probability, sometimes they might ask statistics, sometimes they might ask you about the projects which have actually mentioned in the resume.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, like whatever you mention in your resume, you have
Mm-hmm.
to know each and every line with the clear concept what you're writing, because
Okay.
that is what an interview is gonna go in that way, particular way, because you
Mm-hmm.
have mentioned that you have worked on a YOLO V8 model, right? So
True.
interviewer will be intrigued to ask about it. He'll be curious to know what and all he has explored more. Not only apart from your projects, apart from your projects, what you have done, and more about that particular algorithm. Like I've done image detection about using V8, YOLO V8, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he'll ask what is YOLO V8. He might ask you architecture. He might ask you what were the difficulties which you faced while preparing the data, or
Mm-hmm.
what were the edge cases which you had created, and how the testing has been done, so and so.
Okay. So in and out about the projects is what we get to know is the first opinion for you from
Yes.
you. Like, okay.
Yeah.
So is there a lot of scenario based questions might be asked or kind of a puzzles or these kind of questions? What is the probability of getting these things? What do you think as your
Mm,
industry standards?
it is low. It is low because sometimes most of the first rounds are asked from Hacker Earth or Hacker Rank,
Okay.
right? That is the first is a filtration. So post that they might call and get in a call and get to know about your work experience, like whatever you have learned or whatever you have worked on,
Mm-hmm.
so and so. Situational based, actually, they ask you at the end of the second round or something. That, but it is that they wait last.
Okay. So what kind of industry standard tools or applications that you use at present or you're working on?
Thing is, when I started my journey as a data scientist in Digitap, I was working on most of the time in data cleaning, data analysis, and all.
Mhm.
So after that, I was working in a product called Expense Manager.
Okay.
Okay. So it actually gives you the insights of all your spends and everything from your particular account and all, right? So it analyzes your text SMSs from your device and it shows you how much expenses you have been done and how much you can cut down and how much you can save.
Mhm.
After that, I was handed over an entire product. So I overlook an entire product now.
Okay,
So
that's
that
good.
is called device analytics. Basically,
Okay.
it's kind of an underwriting product. It is used to access the risk to a potential customer before giving loan to him, right? So we cater to the clients who are loan lending companies who are trying to give out loans to so and so individual by assessing the risks what might be there. So that is handled by us.
Okay.
So the risk assessment is done by us. So basically, we just collect all your data from your device and we analyze and we give out a score.
There's a lot of confusion you see when we see freshers or the people who start their career. They have
Mm-hmm.
these. So, what is very having which scope? Like, is the data analyst has so much scope, or data scientist is having the position in the market? What do I go in? Which do I take it up? Like these kind of questions is what we come across for infinite times, even if the answer is very clear. So when we were doing an alumni talk, he,
Mm-hmm.
as a data scientist, he had an opinion that starting a career as a data analyst would have a great start. So, what's your viewpoint on it? Is it like this? I need to start as a data analyst, get in the thing, and then move to another domain or get the idea? Or what is
Yeah,
your question?
yeah. Just I'll come step by step. Okay.
Okay, yeah,
Everything lies. See, there are three types. Okay, one is data engineering, one is data analyst, and one is data scientist. Everything is related to data. To be honest, when you receive a data, right? We don't. As a data scientist, I won't receive a raw data, right? That data
correct.
is fetched by data engineer.
Hmm.
That is the first stage. First stage. Second stage, this filter data is analyzed by a data analyst. Okay. So what is data trying to tell? The insightful points and everything. Post that comes data scientist. To be a good data scientist, you have to be good at data. You have to be a good data analyst and a data engineer, basically. So that's
Okay.
how I put it out.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a data scientist, you'll be doing all the three, right? You are
Correct.
writing logics, you are fetching the data, you're analyzing them, and then you're training a ML model, right? So data engineers doesn't have to train an ML model. Data analysts as well. They'll just have to fetch the data for which you'll be having you gotta have to have a good analyzing skills and everything for data analyst. So once you fetch the data and you analyze the data, you don't have to train a model. You just create a representation to uh visualize in a visualization manner, like to show people who are not having any technical knowledge in a simple terms. So that's what a data analyst does. A data engineer actually manages the data, like through DBs and everything from the source. So he stores and he, you know, uh, organizes the data basically, kind of a data organizer. So
Yeah.
to be a good data scientist, you have to be good data analyst and a good data engineer. That is what
Engineer.
I'll put.
So, you tell like I need to have an ML knowledge to following by I need to have a good knowledge on SQL databases handling too,
Right,
and
right,
following by that I need to have some knowledge on what these ETL process would come up in my hand too. All these
correct.
put together, I become a data scientist.
Yes.
Okay.
Now what I'll tell is depends. See, some people will be having need interest to understand the data and to visualize it. So
Correct.
if you want to move forward in that particular way, then you can be a data analyst. If
Hmm.
you are more intrigued in deep learning, machine learning, or AI, you can be,
Data
you can
science.
go towards data science. Yes.
Science.
And
Correct.
if you are fine enough for ETL processes and data organization and everything, you can go to data engineering.
True. True. Correct. Fair enough. That was a very great answer from you.
Yeah.
Last question from my side to you. Like, I'm just curious to know the routine as a data scientist. How would your day go? All you do?
Yeah. Uh, so we actually work in a sprint environment. Okay. So
Okay.
we have our sprints, which goes up to 2 weeks. So within sprints, we are assigned some tasks, which we have to complete within stipulated time. So as soon
Mm-hmm.
as I go to my office, first thing I do is I check the dashboards, right?
Okay.
So as I'm handling an entire product, I have to see are there any error cases. So once I see any error cases, I fetch the data from DB and then I run it in my local and I replicate the error. Once I'm able to replicate the error, I start debugging the code. So once I get to the root of it, I do the RCA, then I give a fix to it, and then I test it. Test the code. The testing happens in two phases. One is dev testing, one is other testing which is tested by testers, right? So once I finish my dev testing, I passed my product to the testing team, which tests and gives the final checks for pushing the code successfully to production. So most of the times I do this. This is how my daily routine lies.
Okay, that's great. We'll give some time for the attendees in the meeting. We'll see whether we have any questions from them.
Yeah, sure.
Just 2 minutes, yeah. Any questions, you can put it on the QA. Dinesh is welcome for all the questions.
Yeah. How many projects you did in DataMites during the course? So
One
hi
question.
Raj.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you can
Uh
take.
yeah, Raj, I think I did in around 4 projects, which was as I mentioned, one was handwritten digits, one was NBA dataset, one was on time series, and one was on self-driving car, which was I chose to do on my own.
Added on, now it has come up to 5 actually. Earlier it was 4, I think so. Now
Okay, now it might have.
DataMites are providing 5 projects as in whole.
Okay, so
So
one project will be on the, I think that's a live project which I've done.
one is a client project, what we call
Yes,
on,
correct,
and one 4
correct.
more are capstone project,
Capstone
what
projects.
we
Yes,
have termed.
yes.
Right. Uh,
So at my time it was 4. So
uh-huh.
three were
Right.
caption and one was live.
Correct. It has come up now.
Okay,
I think so. No more questions. Last but not the least, I thank you for giving your valuable time, Dinesh, and sharing us your beautiful journey with us. I wish you all the
sure.
best for your future and hope only best come to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, have a
Yeah,
great day.
yeah, you too. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.